Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. It is Brandon again, and today's video is actually going to be somewhat of a follow-up to my last video I did, which was the top 3 biggest supplement scams. Now, that video got a lot of great responses by you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time and telling me what you thought of your biggest 3 supplement scams. Now, for this, a lot of you suggested, hey, will you do one about the best supplements out there? And I started to get to thinking that, you know what, these kind of videos can be very helpful as well as very engaging because you really get to hear everybody's opinion. However, they can also be very broad, as we found out last time, looking at everybody's answers. So what I wanted to do with this particular one was get a little more specific. So we're going to be talking about the best 3 supplements out there. However, I'm going to be talking about the ones, in my opinion, as far as the biggest bang for your buck, so cost per serving. So for this, just like last time, if you can, go ahead and name the top 3 that come to your mind when you think of best bargain for supplements out there. So go ahead and put that in the comment section below right now. Waiting. Should probably play the Jeopardy music right now, but I'm sure that would give me some kind of copyright strike. So now that you've done that, and hopefully, again, this should just be off the top of your head, so don't take the time to really overanalyze this, because obviously by the video you're watching now, you can tell that I probably didn't really think too much about this. So again, top 3 that come to my mind. So the very first one is actually going to play off the last thing I mentioned in my previous video, which is creatine. So for this, I mentioned it's a scam, as oftentimes it's overhyped, over-marketed, and that's talking about other kinds of creatine other than just the pure monohydrate. So for this, when you're looking at a great brand or type of creatine monohydrate, mostly used from Creapure, you know, a lot of the ones that I suggest typically is Optimum Nutrition's, which is 99% pure Creapure, I believe. This is something that you can get 600 grams worth for around 15 bucks. Now, knowing that you only need 5 grams at a time, you don't need to load or anything like that, you can really get a very long-lasting supply, which really boils down to about 12 cents per serving. So very economical, very cost-effective, and hopefully by now you actually already know the benefits of creatine. If not, search my channel. I got a ton of them, plus any other fitness YouTuber out there likely has multiple videos on creatine, as one of the reasons it's so great is there's so much information out there about it that supports its use. So moving on, the next thing I'm going to talk about might be one that a lot of you guys are going to disagree with, and that's cool. That's the point of this video, to tell me your opinions and for me to kind of voice my own, and that is going to be whey protein. Now, I'm not going to specifically get into isolate or anything like that. I'm just talking about a basic whey protein, and for this, generally looking around the web, what you can get is about 5 pounds of a decent quality protein for around 50 bucks. Now, out of these 5-pound tubs, in most cases, you're looking at about 70 servings per tub, and that really boils down to about 75 cents per serving. Now, some of you might say that's really expensive just from protein. Why don't you eat whole foods? Well, you really got to look at the actual nutritional information that you're getting, meaning most good quality proteins out there per scoop is going to give you somewhere around 100 to 120 calories. Now, out of those calories, it should predominantly be protein. So hopefully somewhere between 20 and 25 grams of protein, probably moderate carbs. You might get like 2 or 3. Again, I'm not really pointing my finger here at isolate or anything else. So I'm going to say 2 or 3 carbs and maybe a gram or 2 of fat total. So you're, for the most part, getting majority of protein here, about 25 grams in some cases for 75 cents, which to me is a really good deal. In order to get similar macros from another food source, like a whole food source, you might be looking at 4 ounces of chicken. And chicken, depending on where you live, can get really expensive. Not to mention, you have to go ahead and prepare it and cook it, and it takes more time. Where a scoop of protein, you can just throw in a shaker cup and be on your way. So for me, at 75 cents per serving, a decent quality whey protein is definitely on my list. Now, for my last supplement, biggest bang for your buck, this might bring up a few questions as well, saying, is this even a supplement? I don't consider that one. It's not worth it. You don't need it. But for me, looking at this, the first thing that came to my mind was caffeine. And I know a lot of you probably scratching your head saying, caffeine, you know, is that even going to give me any benefit? What does it do? I'm looking at caffeine from the standpoint that many of you guys out there love your pre-workouts and you love the energy you get from them. However, what you probably don't realize is a lot of times is because they're caffeine the hell out. In some cases, you're taking upwards of 400 to 500 milligrams of caffeine in some of these pre-workouts. Now, caffeine, if you look at it and you add it in by yourself, you can come across 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is a couple cups of coffee in some instances, depending on where you get your coffee from. 100 tabs of this is going to run you around $5. So per serving, you're looking at roughly 5 cents a serving. I know a lot of you guys out there also use just coffee as a pre-workout. This might actually be cheaper than coffee unless you make your own. So let's say you run out to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or wherever you buy your coffee, you're typically looking at $1 or $2 even on the low end. For this, if you're looking at supplementing in and getting some energy, caffeine pills might be the route to go. And oftentimes when people say they want more energy from their pre-workouts or whatever, I might just tell them to add in something like this, as it's very cheap and it's very effective. So for me, as a recap, the top 3 supplements, bang for your buck, remember, specifically talking about per serving, to me, those things would be creatine, they'd be whey protein, and they'd be caffeine. Now, the question is, how do our lists compare? Probably not too similar in some cases, or in other cases, maybe right down the line even. Either way, I'm really interested to hear what you guys would think. Leave me any feedback below, and as always, stay big.